So just to quickly introduce myself, my name is Monica Melton. I'm a deputy tech editor for Business Insider, where I lead a team covering all things big tech. Today I'm joined by an incredible group of entrepreneurs. Like, seriously, Google these people. They're pretty awesome. They're going to take us through a discussion on how AI has leveled the playing field for women entrepreneurs by offering data-driven insights, informed decisions, and providing access to networking, mentoring, and funding opportunities to help empower their success in traditionally male-dominated industries. So with that, I would love for each of you to give us a brief intro of who you are and what you do.
Hi, can you guys hear me? Hi, I am Dr. Megan Reese. I am the founder and CEO of a new startup called Solid Intel, and what we're doing is we are using national security concepts to de-risk supply chains, help with human rights, and eventually even help with climate change issues.
Hi, my name is Carol. I'm known as the mother of robots, and I like to build, fix, and play with robots. I had founded a self-driving car company, worked in surgical robotics, and now I work in generative art and live performance with technology.
Hi there. My name's Bonnie Anderson. I've been doing healthcare diagnostics for 40 years. I built a company called Veracyte that was a global cancer diagnostics company. And a month ago, just started a new women's healthcare company called PinkDx. And I'll tell you about that a little bit later. But we use AI to build better diagnostic tests in cancer.
Hello, my name is Larry O'Connor. I'm the founder and CEO of Other World Computing. Thank you. I want to say I'm really grateful and appreciative to be able to be here and speak to all of the amazing people here today. And my company for over 35 years now has been focused on providing accessibility to technology to enable you to all do more. Now, more recently, we're focused on AI and bringing, a democratization of AI and eliminate some of the expensive paths to really take advantage of it. Everything today is pretty much in the cloud. There's amazing things you can do with the ChatGPTs on one-offs, but in terms of really developing meaningful models, is very, very expensive. And as we've done for over 35 years, we're now focused on bringing AI in a hardware solution that can be owned on-prem and substantially reduce the costs and offer the opportunity for continuous development of those models that can make a big difference in how you compete and how you run your business. So thank you for having me here.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you all for those brief intros. I want to start with you, Megan. Given your background in national security and policy, can you talk to us about how your experience in geopolitics, very fitting that we're at the UN delegates, actually informs your strategy at Solid Intel to help companies actually make their supply chain data actionable?
Absolutely. So in an earlier panel today, a gentleman said that you should start a business because you want to solve a problem. And that's literally why I started my company. I didn't go to be an entrepreneur in search of a problem. I started with a problem and then realized that the private sector was the best way to deal with it. So I spent the last 4.5 years as Senator Mitt Romney's national security advisor. So I oversaw his Senate Foreign Relations and Armed Services Committee work. Got to travel with him all around the world. And when it came down to it, when I started thinking about what to start, what to create, I kept coming back to a problem that we did not manage to solve in government, that I really wanted to solve. We just didn't have a solution for it at the time. And that was actually a human rights issue. It was the Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act. And then I started exploring whether or not the advent of these newly available tech tools would allow us to better identify and de-risk supply chains from everything from forced labor to bad actors to Chinese military SOEs so that companies could sell into the US government, and realized that generative AI allowed us to collect all this data, to teach the data how to talk to each other without a lot of work from my engineering team. And we could do it faster and better. And so I started with the problem and realized there was a solution, which is why I started my company.
Very smart, yeah. There's so many diverse ways that AI is being used across this panel, so I want to actually move to you, Carol. It's fair to say that you are a serial entrepreneur, having built tech across defense, healthcare, automotive, notably having sold your self-driving car company to Apple. Kudos to you. Since you've explored so many different areas, how did you decide to make AI the through line in your career years before this hype?
Thank you. I think like all of us in this room, you only connect the dots kind of looking back. And I think an important lesson I think is like the job that you want probably doesn't exist. I think for your future kids, I think it's hard to know what you want to do because the future doesn't exist yet. And I think that's one of the powers of technology and AI is being able to create that. So I view AI as like a superpower or a tool. And having that skill of how to code is not the end all, but a way to imagine what the future is, and something that is in your mind, you're able to be able to create. So I actually view engineering as quite a creative endeavor and a way to build business through that. So, and piggybacking off of what Megan said, I think to start a startup, you should find a problem that bothers you and that you're able to imagine a solution. And it should be a company that only you can probably uniquely solve as well. Like there's things in your history that you can pull from that makes you the one that is able to create some sort of solution. So I think that's how I imagine like the future of AI and how I move forward in different chapters of my life.
Amazing. Speaking of solutions, Bonnie, I know that's no stranger to you as well. You bring this wonderful breadth of knowledge as a founder in the life sciences and healthcare spaces. Obviously, the unprecedented challenge that COVID-19 created and continues to create, both for diagnostics, women's health. How do you think the coming opportunities and advances through AI might come about? What are some of the things we're going to see?
I think healthcare is going to be explosive with AI. And it's also a field that people get a little scared about, how is my medicine going to work when AI comes into play? But I'll bet everybody in this room has gone through a journey where you had symptoms, especially as women, because let's face it, from the time we turn in, from adolescence till the day we die, we're going through all sorts of symptoms for everything that can't be diagnosed. Well, AI has the potential to help that, because I just talked to a company a month ago that was able to go out into the world and scour millions and millions of patients' records and be able to look at what symptoms did they come to the doctor with and what were the outcomes using, AI-driven algorithms to better triage those patients so they can get in for the right workup, get diagnosed quicker, and if they don't, have a disease or condition that can be treated, then they know that outcome as well. But 15 years ago, when I started my first company, Veracyte, it was before AI was like a dining room table conversation or kitchen table conversation, I guess is the right phrase there. And we were going to solve a problem to take patients that were found to have thyroid nodules, and we want to separate the patients that had cancer from those that didn't, because the problem was everybody was having their thyroids out to get the diagnosis, but 80% of the patients would be told afterwards, we have really good news for you, you don't have cancer. And for the women, you don't have your thyroid, so you're going to live on lifelong hormone replacement therapy, and you have all kinds of issues with that. So we knew we had to bring in the kind of big machines to answer that question. So we used AI to basically build the algorithms to develop the test to separate patients with thyroid nodules from those that had cancer and those that didn't. And we saved hundreds of thousands of women from unnecessarily having their thyroids surgically removed.
Wow. Yeah.
Thank you.
Let's clap on that. Pivoting now.
We're going to do that again in women's health, but I'll tell you about that later.
Yeah, I love it. Pivoting to yet another use of AI, more so on the hardware space, Larry, I'm turning to you. So you're an expert in this space and having had a passion for the technology from a really young age, seeing the .com boom, software eating the world, and now this platform shift that AI is presenting. How do you think about what it means to have a strategic advantage? And even about the impact that the tech could have on communities, from a larger compute for companies to data centers and so forth.
Sure, the big thing is accessibility, and everything that OWC has been about is providing accessibility to technology that really works and gets the job done, and bringing the cost down so that everybody, well, has that accessibility. When only companies with deep pockets, giant budgets, can take full advantage of these technologies, that leaves everybody else at a significant disadvantage. And as we go forward, being able to provide solutions that allow you to go away from the cloud. There's plenty of great things in the cloud, but having on-prem control of your data, having on-prem control of your AI models, and further, being able to take those ideas, not have to wait for time on the web, not have to raise a ton of capital, be able to actually own something that will give you the opportunity to experiment and continue to build your model nearly infinitely. I mean, that's really our goal today. From the storage solutions that media companies have depended upon for a long, long time, we've moved into a space now with AI that's going to let you bring this in-house. And again, it's one thing to develop a model one-off. I mean, there's always new data coming into all these fields. There has to be continued learning, otherwise your model becomes stale. And I think a very significant advantage of being able to control and better own these AI platforms is to be able to always have your model evolving. Deploy v1.x. That's up to date with the data you've been able to feed it to whatever point, and then continue that model evolving. Bringing the cost down from literally millions of dollars to own the kinds of systems that you have access to on the web to the low tens of thousands of dollars, and also with a fraction of the power consumption, taking advantage of kind of a disruptive technology is something that I believe is going to allow every entrepreneur in this room ultimately the opportunity to disrupt in their field. AI is not just something you can play with online and have limited access to. This is something everybody really, really needs. And that's where we're at.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, so I heard a wide breadth here. So finding a problem that you can uniquely solve, creating your own job, knowing when to empirically apply the data that AI is presenting. There's a lot of advice, I'd say, that we could gather from this, but could each of you maybe give a word for women entrepreneurs, other underrepresented founders, on how to leverage AI to either create, improve, or grow a business?
Well, first and foremost, be aware of the tools that are online. This AI, this is a freight train it's not just left the station. It's well down the road, and companies are already significantly embracing and taking advantage of what AI can offer. Individuals are. You have great opportunities to play with AI at a very low cost online, and then take a look at what can AI solve. On site, compared to what it takes to put all that data together with a team of individuals, an AI model, which is relatively easy to develop and easy to deploy, will sift through that data and can be trained to deliver answers in seconds that even in databases your own team may use could take minutes or a lot more than minutes to locate. It's in terms of changing the game for you, it's not about needing less people. It's about really being able to move much, much faster. Have your people with the skills to actually use the data, not spending time looking for the data. And when it comes to whatever problem you're solving, to develop that model, understand your data sources, and own that data. Because me personally, I don't fully trust the cloud. I don't fully trust what goes on when you push your massive data sets up into those cloud models. Learning should be, especially data that's sensitive, should be something you always control. And that's, again, start where you need to start. But as that model evolves, take a look at what you can do to have that advantage on-prem, not just because you can deploy a model that, again, always evolves. It never gets stale if you're always feeding new data into it, but because it's also very cost-effective.
Amazing, yeah. I would love to hear from Bonnie as well.
Well, I was actually going to recommend that you think about using AI to use it to make life easier. And it works really great for writing poems if you're not creative, like I'm the science type, so it's very good for writing poems. It can personalize them. You just tell them the key words you want it to write. It's a lot of fun.
Thinking outside the box. Carol, yeah, we love your...
I think it's interesting because very rarely are we all kind of at ground zero. I feel like today you rarely will meet a kid that's like, I was, playing with AI since I was 5. Because everyone today, like women, male, underrepresented groups, everyone is kind of at ground zero. So these tools just came out. My advice would be to play with the tools as much as possible and kind of learn it. I do think that in the future coding you might not need that technical expertise because you can ask ChatGPT or some other equivalent to do it for you. Just like websites today, you don't need to learn HTML. It's all kind of behind the scenes now. So it's powerful to be able to know how to interface with it. And where we are today is also, if you have ChatGPT basically gives you access to 1,000 bad interns. So how do you want to utilize that power? It probably won't write the greatest journal article or whatever, but if it's something that you don't really need, you just need some mediocre intern work, this is it. What's for dinner? Like, that's the type of questions I ask. So I feel like just play with it. And I think everyone is where you are. Like, everyone has FOMO. These tools are coming out way too fast. And just, I think as we move forward, that would become easier.
That's a good way to think about it. And Megan, curious of your advice as well.
Yes. So I want to talk about a very specific problem with this. Some of you guys may know PitchBook put out that in 2022, only 2.1% of capital went to sole women-founded companies, venture capital. And so still very little money goes to women founders. And so I actually think that we can use AI tools to help deal with this problem. We know what some of the solutions are. We know that women founders get asked different types of questions in VC meetings. And honestly, I think we can use AI to flip the script. I think that when women founders are practicing, when they're going through their pitches, they should use AI to transcribe their pitches, to ask the types of questions, and then go through ChatGPT, ask it, how do I change the tone of these questions? How do I change the course of this conversation? And use it to use examples so that you can incorporate the stats that we know about raising money, the things that we know that get you from a maybe to a yes, and use AI to push it forward.
I love that. I've learned so much. I could ask you guys questions all day, but I think we're going to have to pause it there. But a wonderful thank you once again to Megan, Carol, Bonnie, and Larry. Thank you, everyone.